Wages World here. It's April 28th, 2020. Come at you with a video. Okay, guys, I want to start off with a correction. I can't say for 100% that Kim Jong Un has passed. I put the correction out yesterday. I made a community post, and plus I dropped a comment and pinned it to the top of my previous video. Now, we've been hearing that he's passed for over a week, okay? And we had waited and waited and waited and waited. And why I went ahead and said something was that we think he's passed is because not only did you hear mainstream media saying that he did, but you were also hearing a lot of the alternative news stations saying that he did. So typically when both of those happen, usually that means that's pretty much the truth of what's actually going on at some level, at least the base idea of him being passed. Now, how he passed, this, that, and the third, that's another whole other subject. I'm not going to get into that, so I'm going to give a correction there that, I can't say for sure that he did pass. So, take that for what it's worth. Now, a lot of you guys are probably asking, well, why does it even matter? Why can't they just tell us? Well, the reason being is because of just the danger of who's actually going to be taking in charge after that. And I'm sure everybody across the world wants a different person in there. This guy had a red button. When I mean that, it means he could, lob big missiles out in the sky. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to use that word because it starts with an N. I'll just put it to you that way. And to get, down in the algorithm and all that. But the person coming in behind, we just don't know. You never know when somebody else comes in power, and then you're automatically giving them that same power. At least with him being in charge, we knew what he was going to do most of the time. He was pretty predictable, even by our standards. So that was one advantage that we have. Now there's going to be that sense of unpredictable. So that's something that we got to be very mindful of. Even our own government. If he has passed, do you really want that to get out right away until we figure out what's actually going on? His government is probably saying the same thing. So whether he's passed now or not, is he going to? Don't know. There's a lot of gray area here, and I just wanted to, come out and say I can't say definitively that he's gone. Now, I will say that we've been seeing reports from pretty reliable people that he has already passed. Okay, I'll just say that. But I can't come out and say, hey, 100% that he did. So that's where I'll stop with that. Now with the Schuman here, guys, I want to point out, the 10 o'clock thing, and we're not seeing that right now. So that isn't coming into play here. Now, whether or not that comes back or not, we'll have to wait and see. I already think that was not a natural occurrence. So if it does come back in a similar pattern, whatever. Something happening exactly at 10 o'clock every day, or every other day, or every time it happens, it starts at 10. When you see those kinds of things, they can't be natural usually. All right. Now, also, for somebody that don't know, the Schumann resonance is our base frequency. Okay. It's very important to our mental health and our physical health. For those, they put it in the ISS and all that. And I say that every video. I'm trying to figure out a way not to have to say all that, but I want the new people to understand. So if you want to know more about what this thing can actually do to us, or how it could benefit or hinder what we do, go look at some of my past videos on it, or just simply Google it. Frequency is really what you want to look at, because it is part of everything. It is everything, and that's why I'm going to start most of my videos out with it, because everything that we see and do and everything, its frequency has something to do with it. There's a reason that if they don't put this in the space station, the 7.83 hertz frequency, there's a reason why they go crazy. Because our human brain and our human body need that. That's what we're used to. Okay? When it's not there, we tend to go nuts. Crime rate goes up, mental health issues start happening, ringing in your ears, guys, even. Okay? At a base level, this can cause that. Now, what I've been noticing is, if you look at this graph here, you can see how you got light blue in between here, right? Then it goes dark blue. Then you go light blue again. Dark blue. Now, you guys see a pattern there? I don't know why I'm seeing patterns right now, but I am. Okay, so you're seeing light here, dark here, light here, dark here. And they're about the same time frame. Dark is close to dark and light is close to light there, right? So if you look at that, you know, and we're also starting to see in increments of 4, okay? We start roughly at 8. We're just going to call it 8. And then it goes roughly to 12, then to 16, then to 24. Okay? So that's what we're seeing. Actually, it looks like it might have skipped that 16 spot. So, you know, maybe we're jumping around at different than 4. My point here is that we're seeing a more consistent higher frequency. I'm comfortable saying that our frequency is already raised and it's staying there. I'm not seeing it drop very often. Okay, now in these dark areas is when you could say that it isn't as constant. But here you can see how the lighter colors are showing you, and that's more of a constant, intense frequency. So something is changing here, guys. It's already changed some. It's continually changing more. Oops, sorry about that. But I wanted to point that out because, you know, it is what it is. And this little strange little thing here. They get the readings from this from a multiple stations, and they take an average of those readings. And that's the point that they plot. Okay? And a data point is vertical. So to get some crazy looking shape right here, it's kind of odd, especially when you just consider the fact that it's a combination of different stations average. If this was coming from one source, then I could be like, well, yeah, maybe that's kind of crazy. We'll kind of ignore it. No, we can't do that because this is bunches of stations reporting numbers that come into an average, and that's what we see. So anyway, guys, there's that. Okay, guys, I got you over at spaceweather.com. Guys, if you guys want to ever go over here and check this out, you should. Great website, I think. A lot of good information. Solar cycles over here. Tells you how many days we've had without sunspots for multiple years. It's easy to see the 11-year solar cycle right there. Okay, what I want to point out is that, you know, look at these years where we had 0 to 1 to 2 days all year with no sunspots. Only 1 or 2 days. Every other day there were sunspots on the sun facing us. That's crazy, isn't it? So that right there should tell you that as we move into solar maximum, which is why we're talking about these sunspots, that should tell you that we need to be paying more attention. And right now, I think, and I've said this for almost a year, okay, that as we start going back into solar maximum, this is the most dangerous time for us. Why? Well, because our magnetosphere, our magnetic field, our bow shock, all that stuff together is weaker. It's about 20% weaker, our protection. Okay, we'll just call it that for basic reasons. And that grows stronger when we start getting energy from the sun. But we don't need the big blast. We need a constant, steady flow. All right? That's what we want. But we know that that's not going to happen. It never does. We are going to get flares. We're going to get CMEs. Okay? So why we're weak is when it is the most dangerous. So as the sun becomes more active, we're probably going to start seeing more flares, more CMEs, definitely more sunspots. Okay? So before our magnetic field actually gains its strength back, if the sun decides to shoot a big flare or CME from one of these sunspots that are now starting to occur, it's going to hit us really, really hard. So that, what I'm trying to say is that is the most dangerous. But then here, probably from like right now, for the next year, maybe even 2. Okay, until our magnetic field recovers enough that it becomes as strong as what it used to. So when we do get the bigger flares and stuff, we're able to fight it off better. That's why right now, as the sun becomes more active, while we're weak, that's why this is the most dangerous time, in my opinion. And we will continue to watch this. But as you can see, we have 2 sunspots right now, Earth facing. And I'm going to show you the birth of one of them and how it came out. And it came really, really quick. And this does happen quite a bit. Now, anybody that knows what a sunspot is and how it's named and all that, we see these bright active areas on the sun. Unless they have the cores underneath, the sunspots, they're not considered a sunspot. They're basically it's like a coronal prominence or an active area on the sun. But these actually have positive and negative, and here we go, right? So we're getting ready to go into solar cycle 25. How do we know the difference between 25 and 24? Well, by the polarity of them. If you guys notice, and this is why I'm showing it to you guys, this is negative to positive, and this one's positive to negative. Okay, so that means that one's from one sun cycle and the other one's from the other. Because they use something called Hell's polarity law, and that's really how they decide on. You guys, you can go research what that is. Go over here, click on that link, and you'll learn real quick. But that's why we're sitting here saying, hey, solar cycle 25 is here. It's coming. It's really close if it hasn't already started. All right. Now, we are still seeing a sunspot here from the old sun cycle. So we're kind of right there on that edge. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to take you over to SDO and show you the birth of one of these. And the other one, we're going to see how it rotated through. Okay, guys. This is SDO. And I started this time lapse on the 25th up until present. Okay. Now I'm going to talk to you about parallax effect real quick also. Because this sunspot right there that you see, it actually started over here. It looked really small, right? But as it got closer to right in front of us, and to give you an idea of where we're at, here's the equator. The Earth's kind of like just south of the equator of the sun. All right. So when we have these things rotating right in front of us, Earth facing us, okay, if it flares or has a CME around these sunspots, that means we have a greater chance of it coming right at us, okay? Also, around these sunspots, there are more flaring, there are more CMEs with these sunspots. Now, you can have a flare or a CME without a sunspot, but the chances of having one are really, really higher, way higher than what they are without. Okay, so that's why they're important to pay attention to. One of the reasons. So that's our location. Now, what I want to show you, again, the parallax effect. When it's over here, it appears smaller. As it rotates right in front of us, it's an optical illusion. So when it gets right in front of us, it looks bigger. That's more the correct size when we're looking at it dead on. If you look at anything on a sphere or a ball, anything that's on the side of it will look smaller than what it actually is. But we also have to take in consideration that it took it 3 days to travel from right here to where it's at now. Okay? So obviously things can grow and shrink in that amount of time. So we have to take that in consideration also. But the parallax effect is something that does fool people sometimes. Because you think, well, my gosh, as it's coming, in front of us, it seems to get bigger every time. Well, a lot of that is the parallax effect. But if we go look at stereo A, we can see those sunspots on the side of the sun and actually look and see how big they are. So we have other ways to try to figure this out. But keep in mind, that is one of the things. Now, something that's kind of striking to people that have never really looked at this tool is the fact that how fast that second sunspot appeared. Okay? So right now, we've been watching this one, even when it was on the side of the sun. It was really active over there. Okay? Unless it was, yeah, it was that one. Okay? It kind of died down for a minute and it flared back up. But watch this one. See how it just came out of nowhere? That's what they do. Okay? They don't necessarily, pop up that fast, but they do quite often do it like that. That's within a time frame of like 6 hours. Went from nothing there to a full-blown sunspot. Now, it's not a very big sunspot. Matter of fact, even on the end of this time lapse, it almost looks like it might already starting to decay. It doesn't look as intense as it was. So, that happens sometimes too. Sometimes they come and go just as fast as they came, right? But why do flares come more often from sunspots? Well, you got these arches in these sunspots, right? They kind of look like this. They can be a little wavy. But sometimes they'll do this, okay? They'll start doing one of these numbers. And when the middle hits, it's like a short. Just at a basic level, I'm just going to use that word short. And then it causes it to short out and this busts off, right? That filament breaks. Just like in an incandescent light bulb. The fire inside of an incandescent light bulb is the filament itself. So, like when the light bulb goes out, you grab it and you shake it. and you hear that, that's how you test if it's good or bad. Before we had LEDs anyway. Old incandescent light bulbs. If you shake it, you heard it rattling in there, right? Well, that was that filament that had busted. That's why you no longer, it wasn't completing that circuit, and it wasn't generating that light and heat. So that's exactly what you see here. When these things touch, it breaks that filament, pretty much. That's at a very basic level. I'm not going to go into too much more there. But I thought that was interesting for you guys to see, because we need to really pay attention to this, because it's right in front of us right now, both of them. So if these things decide to flare, it's probably going to come right at us. Something else, guys, Seeds is down right now. I can't even go to the site. Scott was able to make a capture there yesterday, and he posted it on his channel. I would highly suggest you guys go over and check it out, because it seems as though every time that happens, they shut that site down. Almost every time, guys. So when things, start repeating themselves like that, it's kind of hard to call that a coincidence. Just saying. Anyway, so yeah, we'll move on. Okay, guys, there's a pretty decent sized asteroid going to pass by our planet. It's a near-Earth object. Scott did a video on it. I would highly suggest you guys go over and look at it and watch it. It's just a 3 or 4 minute video. He explains what it is. This is his channel over here. I'm going to rotate through to here real quick. This tells you what it actually is. It was discovered in 1998. That's why it has the number 1998 in its name. And that's true when you see that, comets, all that kind of thing. Usually they throw that date in there to give them most people some sort of idea when it was discovered. Okay? This thing is not going to hit us. I'm going to say that straight up. This is not a danger to us. It's going to pass, 3.9 million miles away. To give you an idea of how far that actually is, a little perspective, the sun is 93 million miles away from us. Okay? So that kind of gives you an idea of how close this thing came, or is going to come here on the 29th. So yeah, so there you go with that. Now, this is a rather big one, okay, in size. So what we'll do is I'll just rotate through here. We'll watch this just for a second. Scott did a good job with this. He's short to the point. There it is. It's really no danger to us, but it's worth talking about because this is a pretty big one. Okay. Again, I would suggest you guys go over and check that out. But also, guys, we're going to talk about comets in my next video, probably. There's a lot of stuff going on with comets nowadays, and I don't know. I really don't really know how to say this, but other than to say that, number one, our technology has gotten better. Okay. Number two, instead of always looking forward, sometimes you got to look backwards, because we have to decide whether or not what we're seeing is either normal conditions or not normal. And I'm not saying we're having either. Just letting you know. Okay. I do think that our comet level seems to be pretty normal, for my opinion. And again, this is opinion only. Other people are welcome to their opinion. I get it. Okay. But I think we need to look backwards sometimes too. But when we do look backwards, we have to keep in mind that the technology is continually getting better right now. So what we're seeing from the past may not look exactly like what we're seeing now, because even now, we don't look at the whole sky, guys. We can't catch everything. Case in point, this asteroid right here. 1998 when this thing was discovered. Okay? So what makes us think that comets and all other space objects that we're going to see 100% of the time? We're not. We're just not. So it's hard to even put a base number on it. We can just give it an educated guess and an opinion, which leads to, the way that we think, all right, about a certain subject. And I think that's where, we're all at with this, as far as, like Comet Atlas. That thing had potential to be something spectacular, and it ended up fizzling out. And most of us were saying that from the beginning. We didn't know what it was going to do. Comets are very, very unpredictable, as far as whether they're going to hang on or not. And obviously, Comet Atlas didn't. It's disintegrating as we speak. Some of it may not even make it to the sun. That's the reports we're getting now. Now, that's not the only comet out there. We got Comet Swan right behind it that was just discovered. And again, guys, there's always comets around. But I guess we have to figure out if what we're seeing is an uptick or if it's normal, how big of an uptick it is or how small of an uptick it is, that kind of thing. And, you know, we'll dive into that and see if we can't figure something out. But, you know, right now, nothing's going to hit us. And even if something was coming dead straight at us, guys, there's absolutely nothing we could do about it. Why do we look at it then? Well, the main reason is because if we see something out far enough, maybe we can figure something out. You know, years down the road, protect our kids, that kind of thing. That's why we look at this stuff, the stuff that we don't think is going to hit us, but we can still learn a lot from it, especially when it passes by. So, you know, they're trying to land all kinds of crafts and stuff on these things now. There's been a lot of good stuff happening with the discoveries of certain things and different technologies. And that does go to show our technology is better. So we're going to see more just for that fact. The number of comets and asteroids and anything else out there are going to increase no matter what we do, even if conditions stay the same. Because the technology is better. We see more. It's just that simple. You know, you go back 100 years, they didn't have none of this stuff that we're looking at. Not what we have. Satellites and stuff out there, none of that stuff was around. So, you know, it would be kind of irresponsible of us to assume that the number we could put towards the number of asteroids or comets or small moons and all that kind of stuff could be even close. Is kind of questionable in my opinion. You know, I'm sure we could get close, but the number's not going to be correct because we just simply couldn't see. So that is where I'm going to leave this video, guys. We'll dive into that conversation, you know, maybe in my next video or the video after. I'll keep giving you guys updates on what's going on here. Again, seeds is down. Actually, the magnetosphere tools, they're down too. So I'm not sure if something happened or what, but we'll look at it again tomorrow. So God bless, Yeshua saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid.